Dominique, what was your hot take back?
The Bears are going to make the playoffs. Incredible division. All the teams are awesome except for the Bears. I believed in the Flus in that defense.
Flus got let loose.
And the young quarterback developing more quickly than he did. And this is a good week to take it back after they got embarrassed by the 49ers.
They had 4 yards at halftime.
4.
Jeffrey, what is your most regrettable hot take from before the season?
Ooh, Kirk Cousins, comeback player of the year? Not so much. It has looked awful the last 4 weeks for Kirk Cousins. God love him, but he just likes to go to the other team a lot. And it's just been painful when you go back to your other team and the other quarterback who was a backup throws for 5 tuds and you just continue to give it to the other team again.
Not what you want.
It's just not. I'm taking that one back.
He's got 8 interceptions and 0 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
Not good.
Graziano, how about a hot take back from you, Dan?
I visited every AFC North training camp, and I got the division completely wrong. I thought, the Ravens I thought would take a step back and still be good. Thought the Browns would be good. Thought the Bengals would win it. Would stink. The Steelers do not stink. Steelers have an excellent team. They've managed this quarterback situation perfectly and deserve full credit for it. That's my biggest hot take back. I disagree with the concept of this segment. I think we should be able to say whatever we want without consequences.
I do. It's called accountability.
Yeah,
I think it's all well and good to say, look, I said this yesterday. We all owe Russell Wilson an apology.
Whoa. You and the mouse in your pocket. Don't put the we for this table. One of us makes no apology because one of us said Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith were going to be a great tandem and light this thing up. One of us at the table, so apologies can be made. Let's make sure they're on this side of the table, not as much on this. It's the here or here part for you. You're the here part. That's this side.
He's actually right. Yes. He did say that before the season.
Once again.
Russell Wilson was a player that I think a lot of people thought, obviously Jeff Saturday not one of them, was finished. I think genuinely finished.
Russell's been much better than any of us have expected, and this team is much better than I think any of us expected. So yes, he deserves congratulations.
Yeah.
What I gotta say sorry for saying that he wasn't good in Denver, and I thought he was going to continue.
You said he was going to be bad. You said his arm is he's a noodle arm.
I didn't say that. You're just making stuff up. Yeah, I didn't say that. I have to be honest. I'm surprised at how well this team has played offensively.
Yes.
Let me say this. Himbo sent me this. This was awesome. But Russell Wilson has the highest completion percentage in the NFL on 10-plus yard throws at 64 and 15-plus yard throws at 61.
Look,
as much as I was co-signing with him, I did not know it was going to be that good. That is spectacular.
I believe what I said about Russell Wilson was if he does not play in structure to a greater extent than he did in Denver, then he's going to have the same problems he did in Denver.
Semantics.
I didn't think it would happen, but it has.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to him. It's a testament to Mike Tomlin. It's a testament to Arthur Smith. It is working in Pittsburgh because everyone is working together to an extent that Russell Wilson's experience in Denver did not produce with Nathaniel Hackett or with Sean Payton.
Now, it's worth pointing out the Steelers' schedule over the next 3 games, which come in a very, very rapid burst. They play these games in essentially 10 days.
Which is crazy.
They play at the Eagles, then they play at the Ravens. Remember, they beat Baltimore earlier this season, and then they play the Chiefs. So the reality is this bubble, and they've been a magnificent story this year, and Mike Tomlin, I think right now, should be the leading contender for Coach of the Year. But this thing could come apart completely. Is the bubble about to burst in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to burst because I think that they've proven over the course of the season that they're a really good team. And I think Mike Tomlin obviously is a great coach. I don't know if anyone's been watching Hard Knocks, but I watched him do something that was really impressive. Is he was coaching Justin Fields while Russell was on the field.
Yeah.
I saw Russell hit a deep ball, and one of the things that Justin Fields struggles with is taking shots downfield. Russell hit a deep ball to Pickens, and Mike Tomlin turned to him and said, "You see the efficiency of that? It's like a layup," he says to Justin Fields while on the sideline. It's like this man's always coaching everybody at all times.
And so we put the picks up here. Who do we believe? Our analytics say the Steelers have a 70% chance of winning that division. But the reality is these teams do play each other. The Ravens, they get one more crack at Pittsburgh, so they get that chance. And these other games, the Ravens' remaining schedule is easier than the Steelers.
And they just had a bye. So they're rested at this time of year, and the Steelers are about to play 3 brutal games in 10 days. So that's why I went that way. But again, I've been wrong about this division all year.
Yeah, look, December 1st, it looks awfully good for Pittsburgh. By January 1st, it could look vastly different. Back as coach next year.
Short of Bill Belichick, I don't know who you're going to bring in that's got a better resume. And I just feel that for a team that I really do not think is that far away, I like the way this team's playing right now, even without their franchise quarterback. I feel the locker room wants him back. I think he's a really good football coach. I believe Jerry Jones thinks he's a really good football coach, too. As we stand and talk right now, I expect Mike McCarthy to be back in 2025.
Just for clarity's sake, that was before the game last night, though I'm sure last night wouldn't have changed, or I wouldn't assume last night changed his mind. So now we've heard Micah Parsons, their best defensive player, come out and support Mike McCarthy. We've heard Dak Prescott, their star quarterback who makes all the money, supporting him. And you hear the Hall of Fame, franchise legend supporting Mike McCarthy. I'll ask you very directly, do you believe that Mike McCarthy will be the coach of the Cowboys next season?
I do. And that hasn't changed for me. I used to say this when you're asking the question week in and week out. It's the who else. To Aikman's point, if Bill Belichick is your answer, then I would say okay. But if it's not Bill Belichick, I think it's hard to go find someone who has a better setup. And so, the way this season was developed, it was a Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones issue much more than it was a Mike McCarthy issue.
And I think that I would put Mike Vrabel in that conversation. Also, I think there are other coaches out there that I think might be better than Mike McCarthy. But right now, this situation suggests to me that the players want him back. They're playing hard for him right now. I don't see a reason to move on from him. The next few weeks, I think, will determine a lot as far as his tenure is concerned.
Yeah, this is the time of year where the conversations I'm having, like there are people that want to project certainty. Like there are people who will tell you, like, oh, Dallas will come open. Like there's not, and there's a point to be made about, he doesn't have a contract for next year. Like if Jerry Jones wanted Mike McCarthy back for next year, he could do that now.
Right.
He could extend, and he hasn't. So I think it's worth watching the situation. Because fundamentally, Mike McCarthy was brought in because Jason Garrett could not get over the hump of playoff success. Mike McCarthy hasn't either.
Right.
Now, do you interpret this year as a lost year where he didn't even have the opportunity to do that because he lost the quarterback and all, and the defense fell apart? Maybe. Or do you look at this as long this was his last shot and he still didn't get it done? So I think there is a question mark. I think there's a question mark hanging over the situation. Troy Aikman may well and likely does have better sources in that building than I do. But I think there's a question mark hanging over the situation with Mike McCarthy.
There are at least two names that I think will be interesting to banter about. One of them that we didn't mention here is Deion Sanders.
No doubt.
Let's wait and see what happens with that. And then the other is Bill Belichick. Let's talk about him. Belichick yesterday confirmed he's been in talks with the University of North Carolina about that school's head coaching position. Belichick appearing on McAfee as always. The future Hall of Fame head coach is 27 wins away from breaking Don Shula's NFL wins record. He was asked about Schefter's report about the meeting that he had with the Tar Heels that lasted hours and hours. Here's what Bill said.
Schefter told us that you talked to him for 5 hours yesterday. Is that real? 5 hours?
Yeah, let's just leave it at that, Pat. I mean, I don't want to give out too much information. I'll lose my press conference. I'm going to get my press conference aura back. Let me put this in capital letters. If.
Yeah.
I-F. If I was in a college program, the college program would be a pipeline to the NFL for the players that had the ability to play in the NFL. It would be a professional program, training, nutrition, scheme, coaching, techniques that would transfer to the NFL. It will be an NFL program at a college level.
Okay, so that second part was what I wanted to make sure that you heard. The first part is Bill being Bill.
Yeah.
The second part, you cannot tell me that is not a person who has given this some thought.
For sure.
So for all the people out there who might think, and I would have been one of them, there's no way in the world Bill is going to college. He's just wants the name out there, whatever the case is. That sounded to me like a person who was given this some thought. And frankly, if I'm the university president and he walks in and says that to me, I'm intrigued.
Right, but what does that mean, right? Like you're talking about a whole setup with the way the college game is right now. You're talking about not just the university president, but you're talking about various collectives and I mean, like there's a lot of structure that has to be in place if he's going to pull off what he's talking about there. I do think he's taking it seriously. I think it'd be, he feels like it'd probably be disrespectful not to, right? Like to play sort of footsie with a possibility of a job and then not take it seriously. I've talked to people who would know that say, yes, it's something he's seriously considering. So are the chances of him getting it or taking it high? Probably not, but I don't think there's zero either, and I think that's fascinating.
he's already refining his recruiting pitch. Like,
Yeah,
that was the
right.
recruiting pitch
Yeah.
right there.
Right.
And I do think that I would argue that Bill Belichick would not be suited for the college job, but the college job is changing.
Yeah.
And you can make it what you want. So if you have Bill Belichick at home base, he's not going to go around recruiting all these kids and go in their living rooms, every living room all the time. But if he's at home base and he can send out people to talk to them and they bring him back and say, you can come to this program. I'm not going to sell you on all this nonsense. I know football, obviously. I know the NFL. That's where you want to go. I can get you there. I think that's a pretty good sales pitch. And if you're looking to raise money for collectives, it's pretty nice to have Bill Belichick show up with 6 rings to raise money.
I will remind everyone, as Jeff, you comment that you went to the University of North Carolina. Go.
Yeah. No, listen, I have talked with Bubba Cunningham, who's the AD. I've talked to coaches, so it would be disingenuous for me to say I'm throwing, support. Whoever they hire, I will support 100%. I am fired up that we have people the caliber of Bill Belichick interested in our job, and it is real. And I think from my perspective, the thing that Bill could do, he is a process-driven maniac. He would understand the difference between a coaching staff and a recruiting NIL staff. And I think that part would be interesting to see those two run parallel. Because to your point, he didn't got to sit in 18-year-old living rooms anymore, right? He's going to have other people who do. That's not the case for every college football coach. So if he's focused on the fundamentals of football and teaching guys how to get to the NFL, and he has another group, that would be an interesting test case for colleges.
There's another piece to this, of course, when I mentioned it in the lead into it, is that he is 27 wins away from the all-time wins record in the National Football League. And people will say, well, he needs to go to the NFL because he wants that record so badly.